Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Ryan, I'm from Color Between, and today I'm starting a new series called Grade With Me. In this series, I'm going to bring you along as I grade some small, simple projects. We're going to take a look at different types of footage and different types of tools. But in this first project, we're going to keep it nice and simple. This is some footage that I shot on the Sony FX30. So if you're shooting on a similar camera, this will give you a good idea of how I grade that type of footage. I'm also going to be sticking to the Resolve native tools. So you don't need to buy any extra third-party plugins if you want to follow along. So let's go ahead and let's jump into Resolve. Okay, so now that we're here inside of Resolve, we're taking a look at the project that we're going to be grading today. And this is just it was a beach proposal that I shot last year. So I've just grabbed some of the clips from that. It was shot in S-Log3. So first thing that we're going to do now that we've imported the clips is to go ahead and set up the color management the way that I like to set it up inside of Resolve. So heading on down to the project settings that are over here. And of course, we're working in a 4K timeline. We've got some 4K footage that's here. And then color management. I like to have this set to DaVinci YRGB so that we can, get in and set up our color management the way that we want it. Our output in this instance, we're using Rec 709 Scene. So that has been set up here. And normally I would operate in DaVinci Wide Gamut as this option for my timeline color space. But I thought for this first project to help keep it a little bit easier, and since we're just dealing with S-Log3 footage, I'm going to set this instead to S-Log3. So as I scroll down, we'll set this to how the camera was set up when it captured the footage. So that was sgamut3.cine/slog3. And then, so that is now set up and ready to go. And this is our footage. And if I take a look at this footage is, it's pretty shaky. Obviously this is still the S-Log3 image. When I captured this, I always had the intention of making use of some digital stabilization. So I knew that these shots were going to be pretty wide. So the first steps before we grade is just to make sure that the shots are looking the way that we want them. So I use GyroFlow, which is an open source version of the digital stabilization that can be applied to Sony footage. When you use something like GyroFlow, or if you use Sony's own Catalyst Browse stabilization, you need to make sure your shutter speed is set correctly. So you can't just apply this to any footage. But like I said, I shot this with that in mind. So my shutter speed was set correctly. And also they were pretty wide shots, so it doesn't hurt that we crop in a little bit. Stabilization like this can, it can kind of hurt performance. So I've actually gone and baked that out in a second timeline that's here. So this footage here, this has had GyroFlow applied to it. And I've then gone ahead and bounced that footage so we don't have to worry about the processing overhead. The other thing I've done with this timeline that's here is I've also just applied my slog3.fix LUT to normalize the footage and bring us into that Rec 709 color space. So the way that I did that for this particular project was just to apply a timeline level node. And I'll show you that now on the color page. So we need to make sure that we are viewing the timeline level. And so that is just this node here. And that's applying LUT. If I turn that on and off, we can see we're jumping back to S-Log and then, of course, to 709. This node here is a balance node, which I will explain as we kind of move forward in the project, but this footage did require a white balance adjustment. And the reason that I've just done it on this timeline is just to help create a little point of difference when we're taking a look at the footage. So when I play back this footage now, we can see it's been slowed down to its correct frame rate, and the footage is actually really nice and stabilized. So that's gyro flow in action. And this is a good starting point for our color grading. So the way that I like to start a color grading project is actually with some look development. So that's the first task that we're going to tackle in this project. So on this third timeline here, this is our footage ready to go. And if we jump over into the color tab, we can see that I've just got a simple CST that's running on the timeline level just to help bring us across to 709. So that's our slog3, and then that's our rec 709. So that balance node doesn't exist here on this particular timeline. When I'm approaching look development, something that I will need is a hero shot, or maybe a series of hero shots. Now for this project, it's quite short, so we don't really have too many scenes, but we want to find a shot that represents broadly the majority of the project. Now, if your project has different scenes, you might want to find a shot per scene, and you just want to indicate, that these are our hero shots. So an easy way to do that is just to color a clip. So we can right click, clip color, let's set it to say orange, and that'll just pop a little orange dot up there. We also have this very dark scene, so it's important to make sure that this also looks good. Let's also mark that one orange. If you like this sort of tutorial, make sure that you hit that subscribe button, because there's going to be plenty more coming soon. So now that we have identified our hero shots, let's narrow down the clips that we're looking at by using the clip filter at the top here. And we'll just make sure that we're looking at the orange clips. And the next step before we jump into look development is to go ahead and just neutralize any issues with this shot. So we want to get it to a neutral starting point. For this clip, really, I just want to change the white balance. I'm happy with the exposure in both of these shots actually. So let's just go ahead, drop a node over here, and I'm just going to use the temperature control just to slightly warm up this footage to help bring us to more of a neutral starting point. And that's our project set up for look development, which we're going to cover in the very next episode. So make sure that you subscribe so that you don't miss out on that one.